30 years of joyfulness. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The Midday News is live on Joy 99.7 FM, hits 103.9 FM here in Accra, on Love 99.5 in Kumasi, myjoyonline.com. We're also live in all 16 regions of Ghana via our various affiliates, live on X Spaces and Facebook. The Midday News is supported by Petrosol Platinum Energy, energizing dreams. Coming up this afternoon, President Mahama criticizes centralized sanitation and waste management system as he announces reform, stressing that new guidelines will soon be introduced for MMDAs to transparently select their sanitation service providers through a competitive procurement process.
This agenda applies to every facet of national life, including sanitation and waste management. Our current waste management model is not working because it has become highly centralized. MMDAs have largely not been involved in the procurement of waste management equipment. They have also felt that supervision of sanitation workers and cleaners.
Also coming up this afternoon, Ghana's economy could face triple shock as Israel-Iran conflict escalates. This according to leading analysts who say gold, oil and international trade sectors critical to Ghana's macroeconomic stability will be heavily impacted.
Well, it impacts supply chains, it impacts the price of oil that you've talked about, it impacts the price of gold. We are interconnected, and so Ghana can't ignore this, as I can't in my own country here in the UK.
We'll also hear from a peace-building expert who says Ghana's abstinence from meddling in the conflict is strategic and essential to boosting the economic fortunes of the country.
We understood right at our independence that when there is instability globally, it directly impacts on our capacity to attain our vision.
Later in the bulletin, how do you deal with children who are die-hard football fans, the kind who won't even eat when their team loses? President Mahama found a creative solution.
And I found my children, anytime their team lost a match, they lost appetite, they won't eat, they are moody. So I started supporting all their teams and praying that they'll win their matches so that it will lift the mood of the children.
We'll bring you latest on that, and he talks about his son Sharaf Mohama passion for sport following a thrilling and star-studded night of boxing at the Bokum Boxing Arena.
And growing up at 5 years, 6 years, he knew every footballer. He knew how they played, who they played. He could comment on them. Not only the footballers, he knew their wives and their girlfriends.
Details of these coming up with me, Maame, Nyamekye, Thompson. This is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Now, President John Mahama has criticized Ghana's current sanitation system as overly centralized and ineffective. He announced plans to introduce new guidelines that will allow MMDAs to competitively and transparently select their sanitation service providers. Speaking at an orientation for MMDCs at the Institute of Local Government Studies in Medina, the president emphasized the need for reforms to improve service delivery. His remarks come days after investigative journalist Manasseh Zuriawuni praised the termination of the long-standing sanitation contract between Zoomlion Ghana Limited and the Youth Employment Agency. In a petition to the presidency, Manasseh cited inefficiencies and exploitation of sanitation workers under the deal.
This agenda applies to every facet of national life, including sanitation and waste management. Our current waste management model is not working because it has become highly centralized. MMDAs have largely not been involved in the procurement of waste management equipment. They have also felt that supervision of sanitation workers and cleaners is not a part of their responsibility. We must therefore implement a more effective model that transfers full responsibility for waste management and sanitation to MMDAs. 10% of the common fund in the guidelines is earmarked for sanitation. In addition, funds from the communication service levy tax, which is administered by the YEA, will be decentralized to your districts. You will receive guidelines for transparently selecting your sanitation service providers through a competitive process. Fully responsible for the process and also fully responsible for the outcome. Devolving basic services. As I stated recently, sectoral decentralization is non-negotiable. We will devolve the Ghana Education Service to empower district directors of education.
Well, President Mahama also issued a directive to MMDCs, giving them until July 15 to declare their assets. He warned that the Auditor General and other anti-corruption agencies will be closely monitoring their dealings.
Not only your competencies, but also the confidence reposed in you by the people through the electoral mandate given to our government in 2024. Expectations are high, and rightly so. The Ghanaian people voted for a bold change and for a reset. Your actions and results must demonstrate that their trust was not misplaced. I exhort you to eschew arrogance and inertia. After almost 6 months in office, the time for political celebration is over. The real work has begun, and you're expected to be effective, visible, responsive, and innovative. We have taken steps to transfer the highest amount of funds in the history of the Fourth Republic to you from the District Assembly. As the Finance Minister told you, 80% of the District Assembly's common fund is coming directly to you. We expect you to ensure the judicious and transparent use of these resources.
Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Agbagba is at that event and joins me on the line with more. Maxwell, what other issues has the president been talking about?
Well, the president mentioned to the MMDCEs that there may be the last batch of MMDCEs who will be appointed. He said one of the major concerns that have come up during the constitution review process, there's been a demand for MMDCEs to be elected. So he told them that they may be the last batch of MMDCEs who will be appointed. Now, he also mentioned that sanitation and waste management is going to be one of the most important key performance indicators, for MMDCs. And then he urged the MMDCs to establish district sanitation task force to ensure that their communities are clean. He mentioned that sanitation bylaws will be fully enforced, and that the cleanest districts at the end of the year will be named, and then the dirtiest will also be shamed.
Well, Maxwell, the local government minister also spoke at the event. What did he say?
Well, he mentioned that citizens are demanding greater accountability from the MMDCs, and so he asked them to ensure that. He spoke about some challenges with the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. He says there are issues about ineffective supervision, and it's important for them to scale up their supervision and also ensure that the president's main policies, flagship policies like the 24-hour economic policy, some social intervention programs rolled out by the president is properly initiated in their various districts.
Thank you so much. Maxwell Agbagba is Presidential Affairs correspondent. Now, Ghana's ability to track disease outbreaks, conduct critical diagnostics, and respond swiftly to public health emergencies is under threat following extensive damage to the National Public Health and Reference Laboratory in Accra. The facility, which is critical or crucial in tuberculosis testing and nationwide disease surveillance, was severely affected by a fire that broke out late last night. According to the Ghana National Fire Service, the blaze damaged several sections of the laboratory, including testing areas, storage rooms, and the accounts office. DCFO Daniela Mausi Into Sapong is Chief Fire Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service.
The funds must be utilized in the interest of our people.
Yes, when you came here, you see, we finished quenching all the fire. And there are pockets of fire, so we are trying to cool it down. We got here by exactly 12:30 thereabouts. We were able to put the fire under control. And I went to the office of the Records and Public Health and Reference Lab. And we were able to contain their library, but for the accounts office, their stores, admin and lab, it's totally down. It was close to the diabetic center. That place too, we were able to salvage and there was no problem there.
So far, what are some of the specific items do you know have been destroyed so far?
Laboratory items, books. For the accounts, I don't know, we couldn't retrieve any money, but then the accounts office was involved and the lab too, so we realized the lab too, they have some materials that were also involved there.
Well, Deputy Chief Fire Officer Maame Thompson stated that although the exact cause of the blaze remains unknown, investigations have already commenced.
No, we have to investigate first. We can't make a hasty conclusion. We can't assume. For fire service, you don't assume. You make sure you say the right thing. So we'd have to give us time to finish the investigations and then get back to you.
So far, going forward, what are we going to do here? I mean, what is the next step of action?
Yes, the next step, we've asked that they should bring a tape so that we send a tape around the place so that nobody goes around the area. It could collapse, so we advise that nobody goes around the area whilst our men try to work on it.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Samuel Kaba Akoyira, who visited the scene to assess the extent of damage, stated that the service has initiated relocation plans to mitigate the impact on critical health services.
There are a lot of things that we are not able to quantify yet because some part of the archives have been burnt, and we just waiting to have a comprehensive report of the rest of the places so that we can take a decision.
So going forward, right from here, they are supposed to work. We can't just leave them idle. What is the immediate solution?
As I said, this is something the fire service is going to recommend. They will take care of that part, and I will take care of the Ghana Health Service component. That's the human resource and reallocation plans and all that. Once you have this situation, you move into the field with a plan to reallocate people. So we've already identified a place where the people will be sent to. The good news is there are no casualties, so we are extremely grateful that we don't have anyone who got himself burnt. The rest will be to relocate them, and we've created space over there to make sure that people get relocated and nobody should be harmed.
You heard the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Samuel Kaba Akoria. Now let's head to Parliament. Supreme Court Justice nominee Hafizata Ameliboba has rejected assertions that Chief Justices have influence over outcome of cases at the Supreme Court. This is in response to question on whether Chief Justices are deliberate in which justices to empanel on certain cases to achieve particular results. And James Aveji is there and joins us with more. James, tell us more about this position of the nominee on this matter.
Maame, there's always been a general public commentary and reservations about the works of the Chief Justices, especially who to put on cases of significant constitutional outcomes or even political influence. This is what John Darko raised when he had the chance to be the first person to ask questions on the committee, drawing down from a book published by Justice Databank about the public perception about some of these things and how it sometimes hurts the integrity of the Supreme Court. The Justice Hafizata Ameliboba in response says she believes that the empaneling of justices is one, a purely administrative duty undertaken by Chief Justices, and that even the justices empaneled on cases are very professional people and very independent-minded people who nobody, not even the Chief Justice, would want their rulings on certain cases to turn in a particular way. So she rejects these assertions.
I believe that in the empaneling of judges, the Chief Justice performs an administrative function. Now, this administrative function is a function that has been given her by the Constitution. And I do not believe that it would or should influence the kind of decisions taken on the bench, because the Supreme Court justices of the bench are experienced, independent-minded jurists who should be able to take independent decisions.
So, James, what other issues has she been responding to?
Because her areas of expertise include marriage disputes, there's been questioning about how marriage issues sometimes delay in the court, and the worst happens especially to children who are caught in the middle of this before final rulings are given. She said this is largely because of non-compliance by one party or the other in such cases. But these are advocates who would be carrying to the bench to make sure that some of these issues are dealt promptly. She just took her seat about 30 minutes ago, and so we delving deeper into this and other issues, considering issues of political influence on all of that we've heard from the vetting of other justices we expect should be coming up, and we'll be seeing what her position will be on this critical issue.
Thank you, James, for that update, but we can still take some excerpts from Parliament.
You will be reported to the police and you will be arrested. So that is how we have started working in respect of these committees. Thank you very much.
Chair, a follow-up, and are you receiving the needed funding to ensure the actualization of this project, and from where?
We have not yet requested for the funding. For now, the attestation unit is using the resources it has at its disposal to ensure that this is done. But we will get to that stage where all of the various departments involved will come together, the budgets will be drawn, and then the necessary things will be done. Thank you very much.
When I go to my second question, my lady, after this question, I'll let you advise those of us around the table. We politicians, those of us here, we tend to play politics with a lot of things. When it comes to the appointment of judges, independent constitutional officers, we talk a lot. You read our hands out, the debate, so partisan in nature. In 2022, you got an opportunity to be nominated to sit on the Court of Appeal. Some justices sat at the High Court, straight to Supreme Court. Some 1 year at the Court of Appeal, straight to Supreme Court. Some became Chief Justices and what have you. I believe when you go to the Court of Appeal, you met some senior members too there, and by God's grace, gotten the opportunity to be nominated. What would be your advice to those of us around the table that nominations are not political, are based on certain steps or considerations? And that's one of the reasons why you are before us. So, what do you have to say to some of this? You see politicians.
Honorable Chair, I would pray to let the cup of advising the politicians pass from me. But what I would say is that, indeed, I met some judges at the Court of Appeal, and I have a lot of respect for my esteemed colleagues on the Court of Appeal bench. Nominating a judge for the position of the Supreme Court is the prerogative of the President. And the President has done so. And I believe that I'm qualified. I have spent 15 and a half years in private practice. I've spent 11 years on the bench. I'm 26 years at the bar. I am qualified in accordance with the constitutional requirements. I'm capable, I'm competent, and able to discharge the duties of a Supreme Court judge.
And you heard that Justice Hafizata Ameleboba there before Parliament's vetting committee. You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll take a break. We return with sports. And later in the bulletin, how do you deal with children who are die-hard football fans, the kind who won't even eat when their team loses? President Mahama found a creative solution.
And I found my children, anytime their team lost a match, they lost appetite, they won't eat, they are moody. So I started supporting all their teams and praying that they'll win their matches so that it will lift the mood of the children.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a Petrosol station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
When I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth with Kale Charcoal toothpaste. This gives me confidence all day.
Anytime you meet Amma, don't be surprised I smile showing my beautiful white teeth because I don't have cavity thanks to Kale Charcoal toothpaste for its natural charcoal properties. In fact, we are like twins. I can't go without my Kale Charcoal toothpaste.
That be why I dey use Kale Charcoal toothpaste morning and night when I dey go bed safe. It dey make my teeth white when it dey comot every scent from my mouth inside. My confidence level they go up, so I dey show my 32 teeth all.
Introducing the Kale Charcoal toothpaste, formulated with activated bamboo charcoal powder, ensures whiter teeth and removes bad breath. The strong natural property of the activated bamboo charcoal removes bacteria, absorbs surface stains on our teeth caused by coffee, wines, and tobacco. Welcome, Kale Charcoal toothpaste. Kale Charcoal toothpaste, Sankofa Yenchi.
Kale, happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to the Midday News. As tensions between Israel and Iran intensify, analysts are warning of severe economic repercussions for Ghana and other African economies reliant on global markets. Speaking on PM Express yesterday, 3 experts said the fallout will go beyond rising oil prices to affect gold, international trade and global travel, sectors vital to Ghana's macroeconomic stability. Research Director of African Programs at Chatham House, Dr. Alex Vines, cautioned that further escalation could shake global markets, with Ghana and its peers bearing the brunt.
It impacts supply chains. It impacts the price of oil that you've talked about. It impacts the price of gold. It disrupts travel. So if Ghanaians are going through the Middle East on travel, that will be disrupted too. Places like flights that go near Iran at the moment or near Israel are being disrupted. So Ghana, stroke the African continent, is not immune by any means to what's going on in the Middle East. And this plays, it overlaps with all the conflicts that we've also seen elsewhere.
Well, while gold prices may rise, analysts warn that volatility could disrupt fiscal planning and worsen pressure on the cedi. CEO of the oil marketing companies, Dr. Riverson Opon, stressed that Africa's dependence on foreign markets for fuel and basic goods makes it highly vulnerable to global shocks.
I think the Africa unity is at a limbo at this moment. And this is the right time that AU should have called for an emergency meeting. Yeah. G7 is talking. Yeah. What's AU doing? Yeah. They're sleeping. Yeah. You know, and when look at...
You're absolutely right. We haven't even said AU emergency.
Yeah. It should.
So that we can take a collective position and issue statement.
And absolutely, when you look at the continent, we are actually the richest continent in the world. Yeah. Yeah. And today, 85 to 90% of our resources are exported in their raw state. And we import everything back. Yeah. And don't we have demand for it? You know how much of our crude oil today is even refined here.
Former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister and peace-building expert Emmanuel Bombande said Ghana's neutral stance in international conflicts reflects its belief that global instability threatens national development.
Our abstention, I will relate to our historical antecedents of positive neutrality. And we talk about that without expatiating. Basically, the antecedents of our foreign policy is that when there is a global crisis such as the one we have, Ghana wants to mediate and be an intermediary because we understood right at our independence that when there is instability globally, it directly impacts on our capacity to attain our vision of economic development. We are a developing country, and so too much of Africa. And so you do not want the destabilization of various aspects of our global landscape that now puts the type of pressure and weight on our capacity to pursue our vision. You were making those observations with my good brother here before we started the program. that we are coming out of a situation in which the economists will tell you we are beginning to look on the brighter side of our economy coming back. The downgrading of some of our indicators are being upgraded. The last thing we need is the type of instability that now draws us back to where we came from, that we do not want to be.
Away from energy, Joy News is learning some developments on Mpox. And head of our health desk, Fred Smith, joins me in studio with more details. Fred.
Maame, there have been 7 new cases confirmed, bringing the total confirmed cases to 98, just 2 shy of 100. Good news here is that no one has died since the outbreak in Ghana. And as we speak on today, there's no one on admission being treated for Mpox.
So these 7 cases, where are they?
Well, the Ghana Health Service does not indicate where they are, but they are spread across this country.
Thank you, Fred. Now, energy was high for the final paper of this year's BEC, which ended yesterday for majority of the candidates. Well, some of them are still writing Arabic and have to pass that hurdle today. Jacqueline and Sumayeba captured the reactions of candidates yesterday in the following report.
They just finished with their closing assembly, so I want to find out how excited they are, how their paper was and all that. How was the paper for you?
Oh, the paper is okay.
What paper did you write?
I wrote creative arts and French.
And French? Yes. How was it for you?
Oh, it's not that hard, but it's hard.
It's not that hard, but it's hard. Oh, why? What was hard, the French or the creative arts?
Yeah, the French.
How was the paper for you?
Good.
It was good. How was the French?
It was quite good, right? Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Comment ça va?
Ça va très bien.
What grade are you hopeful of coming out with? 7.1. How was the French for you too?
The French was good.
Okay, what school do you want to go to?
Big Boss.
Big Boss. That's the school you want to go to. And I'm here with students from Kanda Estate Basic School. And how is the feeling like knowing that you've completed your junior high school studies? How's it like?
Means it is normal.
Excited, yeah.
Excited.
You're
excited.
Now, President Mahama has revealed that his children, like many die-hard football fans, get moody and even refuse to eat when their favorite team loses. But he found a creative way to help them manage those emotions. Over the weekend, his son Sharaf Mahama, who is also CEO of Legacy Rise Sports, hosted the Battle of the Beast boxing event at the Bukum Boxing Arena. The event attracted major attention, especially with the presence of 2-time world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua. Speaking during Joshua's visit to the Jubilee House, President Mahama highlighted Sharaf's deep passion for sports. Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Agbagba reports.
ACCRA, are you?
The 4,000-seat capacity Bukum Boxing Arena was filled to capacity with hundreds left outside unable to gain access. At ringside were 2-time world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, former unified light welterweight world champion American, Ghanaian boxing legend Azuma Nelson, and other prominent figures. The event, organized by the sports development organization Legacy Rise Sports, owned by President Mahama's son Sharaf Mahama, was one for the books. It was during a courtesy visit to the Jubilee House by boxing legend Anthony Joshua that the president spoke about Sharaf's passion for sports.
Sharaf has been interested in sports since he was a kid. And growing up at 5 years, 6 years, he knew every footballer. He knew how they played, who they played. He could comment on them. Not only the footballers, he knew their wives and their girlfriends. He knew the referees, everybody. It's he and his brothers who made me start taking an interest in football. I mean, I've never really been a fan, when it comes to soccer, but he supported Liverpool. His other brother supports Man United, and then Shahi supports Real Madrid. And I found my children, anytime their team lost a match, they lost appetite, they won't eat, they are moody. So I started supporting all their teams and praying that they'll win their matches so that it will lift the mood of the children.
President Mahama there with a cure to the mood of his children when their teams lost. And it takes us to what's trending now. Jackie's in the studio. Jackie.
Yes, Maame. A lot is trending on social media, but Kane Paluta is trending with this song. song made an appearance in the just ended BEC.
Really?
Yes, Creative Arts. So the question, real quick, says that one of his most popular songs, Asada, carries deep messages that address important issues in the Ghanaian society. Identify 2 of these issues. So a lot of people, I mean, it's actually difficult for me to answer. Creative Arts.
Oh, wow,
yes. So a lot of people talking about it on social media, expressing their thoughts on that. I mean, we
I
hope
really want to read the answer sheets.
definitely. But then away from that, Joy Prime is also set to premiere a new show, Prime Time with George Quay tonight, 9 p.m.
I can't wait. George is just fabulous.
I know, right?
You don't have to miss this show. But that's how we end the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. I am Maame Nyamekye Thompson. Up next is Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil.